If you are inside your home with the lights out, do not look outside your window. Turn on your lights before you look through any window. Do not leave your home if you see a figure outside. Even if he is turned away, do not look at him. Lock all doors and windows before turning off all lights inside your residence. Hide in a small space and call authorities. Do not move from hiding unless you hear an unfamiliar voice. If you do hear a familiar voice coming from inside your home, do not move. He is inside. He is inside. He is inside.
This is why you should never play hide and seek. A mom decided to play hide and seek with her 2 kids. The mom began counting, ready or not, here I come. She begins searching the downstairs kitchen because she knows that they hide there every single time. As she's walking to the kitchen, she starts saying, I wonder where they are. She looks under the table and sees they aren't there, which is kind of odd. She knew they were too scared to go into the basement alone, but she decided to check anyway. They weren't there either. She began to panic. The mom then says, Jordan, Casey, come out now, mommy's not playing anymore. There was no answer. Panic really begins to set in. She decides to call 911 and reaches an operator. She tells the operator what's wrong and the operator sends an officer to her house. Once the officer arrives, he says, don't worry, we will find them. As she's sitting in the living room, she hears giggling and laughing and hears a closet door slam upstairs. She sprints upstairs and says, Jordan, Casey, you worried me sick. She opened the closet door and nobody was there. While all of this is going on, she hears the doorbell ring. She runs downstairs and finds the officer holding Jordan and Casey. The officer says they were hiding in the shed out back. Then Jordan looks at mommy and says,
this is why parents should believe their kids. In 2010, a 15-year-old boy started to notice that the door to his attic, which was in his bedroom, was always open. One day, when his mom's giving him a hard time about being lazy, he's like, well, you're one to talk. You always leave my attic door open. She's like, I haven't touched your attic door in months, and nobody else has either. Not easily frightened, the boy decides to leave the attic door open. And so he's laying in bed, and he kind of looks over at the door, and standing in the door frame is a figure staring right at him. He bolts, tells his parents, they don't believe him, and then 6 months later they move anyway. A few years later, the boy discovers his favorite teacher actually moved into his old house. And so he jokingly asks her, you ever see any ghosts walking around your attic? Her face got completely serious, and she's like, as soon as we moved in, the door to the attic kept opening. So we investigated, and we found a trap door that led onto the roof. Someone had been crawling in through that entrance and living in the attic for years.
Every night, Sarah heard faint tapping sounds coming from the attic. She lived alone, so she tried to convince herself it was just the house settling. One night, the tapping turned into soft footsteps. Heart racing, she grabbed a flashlight and crept up the stairs to the attic. As she opened the door, the flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows. In the dim light, she saw a small, old wooden box in the corner. The tapping continued from inside it. Gathering her courage, she opened the box and found a dusty, antique mirror. In the mirror's reflection, she saw herself standing alone in the attic. But behind her, a shadowy figure with hollow eyes and a twisted grin stood watching. She spun around, but there was no one there. She looked back at the mirror, and the figure had moved closer, reaching out towards her. Before she could scream, the flashlight died, plunging the attic into darkness. The last thing she heard was the tapping, now coming from right behind her. Every night, Emma saw her reflection move differently in the old mirror her grandmother left her. At first, it was subtle, a blink here, a slight head tilt there, but soon, it became bolder, smiling when she was frowning, waving when she was still. One night, determined to catch it in the act, she stayed up late, staring into the mirror without blinking. Suddenly, her reflection's hand reached out, touching the glass. Emma, paralyzed with fear, watched as it whispered, "You're almost ready." The next morning, she awoke on the floor, cold and alone. When she looked in the mirror, her reflection was gone, but her grandmother stood there, smiling. "Welcome back," her grandmother said. "We've been waiting for you."
Once there was a girl named Jenny. She was like all the other girls, except for one thing. She always wore a green ribbon around her neck. There was a boy named Alfred in her class. Alfred liked Jenny, and Jenny liked Alfred. One day he asked her, "Why do you wear that ribbon all the time?" "I cannot tell you," said Jenny. But Alfred kept asking, "Why do you wear it?" And Jenny would say, "It is not important." Jenny and Alfred grew up and fell in love. One day, they got married. After their wedding, Alfred said, "Now that we are married, you must tell me about the green ribbon." "You still must wait," said Jenny. "I will tell you when the right time comes." Years passed. Alfred and Jenny grew old. One day, Jenny became very sick. The doctor told her she was dying. Jenny called Alfred to her side. "Alfred," she said, "now I can tell you about the green ribbon. Untie it, and you will see why I could not tell you before." Slowly and carefully, Alfred untied the ribbon, and Jenny's head fell off.
So, I've been hearing banging noises on my walls. Hello? I don't trust it. I'm out. I am out.